Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 30 Days Growth Marketing course. And today we're going to discuss a specialist skill, which Swati, you already have, which is influencer marketing. So I think today will be an interesting discussion for you because we're going to look at influencer marketing from a growth marketing lens.
Right.
So how was your experience with influencer marketing before we proceed into the content?
I think it's great. And also I would say influencer marketing, I think constantly evolving and changing. So you really have to keep up with it as to what kind of content is currently working, and if
Right.
you can, because correct guidance from your side to the influencer
Mm.
matters a lot in terms of content as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an important point. I saw a lot of influencer marketing fails. I was reading about like big brand campaigns with influencer marketing fails where either the tips, the guidelines from the brand were not made very clear. And there were these big celebrities which are copy pasting tweets from each other for an
Okay.
influencer marketing campaign. So when you work with a brand with influencer marketing, what have you seen in terms of the results? How are the results that you get from influencer marketing in terms of I mean, not just ROI, but also like earned media value and how much engagement, etc.
I think they're phenomenal, great. So it also matters from influencer to influencer, of course.
Right.
But in general, if we see, we get a lot of engagement because if we like get the right influencer.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the data which I was looking at from Influencer Marketing Hub and other platforms. So on an average, influencer ROI returned at around 11x of that of ads, ad banners, etc. So that's like really good. And I think that we've also seen it with our clients when we do influencer marketing campaigns. 10x, 11x, 12x is not a very rare number to see, right? With a lot of influencers. And I think you correctly mentioned it also depends on which influencer it is, and some influencers don't work out at all. So that's why there is a process in place wherein we start working lean and then see which influencer works. So, the typical process that you also were sharing with me the other day was that you have the free barter and then you have sort
Yeah.
of a collaboration, which is, if you look at it, it's very similar to the growth marketing process. You start lean and then you want to be agile, right? So you want to go
Yeah.
to the audience. You have this free barter which lets you go to the audience quickly and then get feedback from the audience in terms of, okay, these are the number of sales that happened, this is the engagement that happened from that, and then you use that data to decide if you want to work with that influencer in the future or not. So basically, if you
Right.
want to execute more on the same growth experiment, or you want to move to the next one, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why also, I said that we're not going to discuss many specialist skills in detail, but the reason why I picked influencer marketing, apart from the fact that, you have worked in influencer marketing, is that it actually applies to all the stages of the A3R3 funnel,
Okay.
right? So you can use influencers for awareness, of course. You
Yes.
can also use them for acquisition, right? You can also use them for revenue, like with swipe up links, you can take them directly to checkout product page. You can also use them for referral campaigns, very obvious with influencer marketing. So, influencer doing demos of the products, etc., can also be a good application for activation. So, influencer marketing is something which can be applied across the funnel.
Full funnel. Okay.
And this is why I personally like influencer marketing. Of course, apart from the fact that users trust what other people say about your brand and not what you say about your brand. So that's like the core psychological reason. But from a growth marketing side, I think I really like it because it applies to all the stages of the funnel,
I agree. Yeah.
right? So what all stages of the funnel have you personally used influencer marketing for?
So awareness, of course, because you're leveraging the influencers audience, and obviously they're becoming aware of the brand, and revenue.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
you can actually track your sales coming in from the influencers,
Yeah.
right? And
And referral also, if we, because we have used coupon codes, so that would be referral.
right. Yeah, yeah. And those, when people use those coupon codes and then you can track the revenue, etc.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's like a good process. In terms of overall steps that I found, like in your case, you're referring specifically to fashion e-commerce. But I also saw this being implemented with some big brands, like some of the biggest companies that I've consulted in how they are using influencer marketing. Overall, all of them follow this 3-step framework, right?
Okay.
Which is step 1 is the endorsement itself, the process by which the influencer either uses the product or service or shows that they use the product or service based on your collaboration. Many times influencers are literally people who have actually used your product or service and then reached out to you that they like the product or service.
Yeah.
And many times now in the marketing space, it's the other way around. It's marketeers reaching out on behalf of brands to influencers and saying, hey, use this product or service and then talk about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as it fits the influencer's audience, it fits their frame of what their messaging is, and it's actually something that they would like to use or prefer to, tell other people. It just becomes a little bit outside of the, ethical boundaries when you're just endorsing it for the sake of money and you may not believe in the product yourself.
Right.
Which is why affiliate marketing sort of has a different image where people are basically just trying to get a sale or a side hustle along with referring products. Influencer marketing, it's still more importantly based on if there is a fit between your audience and the influencer's audience. And if you offer something that can solve a problem for their audience, then those are the right people to endorse your product, right?
I agree. And earlier, I think it was different. Now that I think we have a lot of influencers. You see, every like second person is an influencer or an inspiring influencer. So right now the market is crowded, and I think that could be like because everyone's looking out to making money at the end, right? I think that could be one of the reasons.
Media
Also.
profiles, starting their social media profiles in order to at the end make money.
Exactly.
Like YouTube has become a business rather than a place to share your thoughts with people. I think it's also important to see, any channel that becomes saturated will be misused, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, Shopify is not supposed to be a channel for drop shipping and not delivering products on time and not delivering quality products, etc. It's just an e-commerce platform. And we use it for all our clients who are not drop shipping, who have their own brand, who have their own products. But then a lot of people use it for drop shipping. Drop shipping itself is not a thing which is supposed to be negative, but then a lot of people might use it to scam people, etc. So it just anything that becomes saturated can be used in different ways. Like Facebook ads became saturated. Now you might see a lot of ads which may not lead to any valuable product. SEO, once it became popular, people started doing black hat SEO. So anything that becomes popular can be misused. And so I don't like to, say, like, for example, affiliate marketing can be used for great things. It's a great way to build a business. It's a great way to help other people find solutions to their problems, but it can also be used in a different way. So yeah, that's, I think, just a matter of fact. When something becomes, more popular, then different kinds of people will use it in different ways.
Yeah, totally.
And then we go to step 2, which is signaling. So what you signal as an influencer is, aspiration. If you're highly influential, people get influenced by you. People want to aspire to be like you. But you also signal quality. I know that when you work with brands, you would have been telling influencers to highlight the things that you like about the product, etc. So if it's good quality, that's something that they are showcasing. And then finally, this is important, which is amplification. Sometimes you have to go out of the following of the influencer themselves. And this is where it can be done in 2 ways. This is where the money can add leverage to what you've already built. So you reached out to an influencer, you got content, they had their followers, you have their followers. But how do you go beyond that? How do you go to the third circle? We have 3 circles. The first circle is your followers. The second circle is their followers. Now, the third circle is people who don't follow you or your influencer. So for that, you can use paid leverage in form of ads, where you can run ads on their content and use it sort of as a UGC content in your funnel, or they can run ads, or you can run ads from their accounts.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 ways that you can achieve amplification. But essentially in all of influencer marketing, these would be the 3 steps that you would follow: endorsement, signaling, and amplification. And this has been the case since the historic times of influencer marketing. Like, it's always been these 3 steps. The way they have been implemented have been quite different. In the past, you would use the Queen of England, for example, would endorse a product to showcase the aspirational qualities of the product, and then it'll be published in newspapers for amplification. Now it's changed. with social media, but the steps remain the same. Right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, the channels have changed and the steps are absolutely the same, you know. Yeah, and now we have like earlier, I think it used to be more actors and famous people, influential people, and now we have like commoners. And I think that's also good because again, the trust factor, because you know, you relate more to them than with big celebrities.
Right. They seem more human, more people who you they say that people who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of you, it's easier to relate to them than people who are 1,000 steps ahead of you, because you have a long way to get there, and maybe you don't want to get there. Maybe you just want to get 1 or 2 steps ahead, and you're happy with that, which is great. So that brings me to the next point, which I had in my presentation as well, which is like the sizes of influencers and what they are good for. So I know that maybe both of us define this in slightly different ways, and different tools define it in slightly different ways. I've seen tools that define 500,000 as nano, 5,000 up to 5,000 as nano, and more than 5,000 as micro. But the way that I have taught in my courses, it's anything less than 10,000 is a nano influencer. Anything between 10,000 and 100,000 is a micro influencer. With 100,000 followers to 1 million followers is a macro influencer. And finally, anyone with 1 million or above followers is a mega influencer. And just to be mindful of the fact that I'm not trying to tell people that the number of followers is the only thing that matters. It's just a number that we use in the industry to define these terms for the sake of creating strategies around influencer marketing. Because the strategy the decision to onboard a mega influencer would be based on a very different reason than when you're doing a micro influencer campaign, right? So what do you think about this definition? Would you like to add something to that, or is it a separate way that you define these?
No, I think yeah, it's more or less the same that I define the sizes. There could be a little overlap between nano and micro, but I think that's a good way to categorize them.
Yeah, I know, like if someone has 8,000 followers, but their engagement rates are pretty good, they might even be considered micro. Yeah. And yeah, no denying that fact. But just for, when it's 1, 0, the tens, they make it easy for me to remember. So 10 to 100, 100 to 1 million, and more than 1 million. But yeah, you're right. I noticed that a few websites define 5,000 above as micro, and anything below 10,000 is nano. 5,000 below 5,000 is nano. Right. So so typically, I mean, there are obviously different ways that you can leverage them, but typically this is what I teach in my courses as well. This is how you will leverage it based on your strategy. So if you're looking for the maximum reach, if you're looking for the maximum audience, global audience, broader topics, then you should go for mega influencers. If you're looking at large audiences, but they have specific interests in specific areas, but still they have to be sizable, big enough audiences, then you can consider macro influencers like 100,000 to 1 million. If you're looking at niche audiences, so you're looking at a certain, in your example, for example, if you're looking at boho, fashion, sort of a niche audience, and then you can go for like a micro or even nano influencers in that case. I think this is sort of a good strategy to start with, because a lot of times people feel, I've worked with small startups who are building something for a very niche community, and they want to get the biggest celebrity on board for their influencer marketing campaigns. So their message will be saturated, right?
I agree. I mean, people who do not have an understanding of this, they'll always want a celebrity or someone with over 1 million followers, because it seems like they're influential. But what I've seen is, I think the more specific they are to your niche, the more the campaign will work.
Yeah, I also feel in terms of, if you were to map the A3R3 funnel to the influencer sizes, I think it will be just the opposite. So for awareness, it would be best to do mega. For acquisition, it would be slightly better to do macro, right? Like for retention, it could be slightly better to do retention, and referral could be better to do nano and micro. So if you want like most top of the funnel, which is awareness, then you want to do the broadest type of followers, which is mega. And also interesting to remember that the mega influencers will always have a lower engagement rate, higher engagement numbers, but lower engagement rates than nano influencers. So the percentage, it could go from 5% for nano to even 1% or less for mega. So it's just an example, but basically something that people might get confused. And I was working with a big company who was quite confused about this, and they were thinking the more followers you have, the more engagement rate you should have, which is obviously not true. If you have a broad audience, it's hard to please everyone with your messaging. So if you're sponsoring a brand which is specific, and you are a mega influencer, you'll have very low engagement rates for that message.
Yeah. I mean, if you have over 1 million followers, you can't have all the 1 million or 2 million people in a particular niche. Everybody is going to have different interests.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're a brand which is very broad,
Yeah.
I know that Notion keeps sponsoring YouTube videos left, right.
Yes.
And it's, anyone can use Notion, so it makes sense. But of course, there is a specific niche of macro influencers who are in productivity and task management and time management, etc., who will be more likely to get better engagement rates for Notion than someone who's just talking about a day in their life, etc.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, that's that being said, Notion is just like a crazy case study for influencer marketing. It's all over
Yeah.
you. Skillshare is another one. And a lot of people even doubt if Skillshare can add that much value as to how much influencer marketing that they do on YouTube. But yeah, you've done some good influencer marketing work with case studies on Instagram. So how was that experience, Swati?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. And personally, I think even today, the channel is quite not explored to the, potential that it can bring. Because, of course, like you said, the revenue and the ROIs from influencer marketing is something, that we have to look into, and it's so much more than the ad performance, etc. So yeah, I think it's a great leverage.
Loop, right? Like we'll have to keep getting new influencers in the funnel, keep having them, because everyone will have different audiences. Of course, there will be some audience overlap, but they'll have different videos. When we run ads on them in the amplification stage, they may perform at different etc. Cool. Moving to the tools, these are some of the tools that I think are pretty good at influencer marketing, especially like discovering influencers, etc. Any particular tool that you've used out of these, and how was your experience?
Yeah, I've used creator.co, and yeah, I think if you can, I think you definitely should go for these tools because they save up so much of your time. Plus, they do, especially on research, like you'll have to list down on the influencers and check the demographics, engagement. But these tools, I mean, they do the work for you. Basically, you just have to put in your needs, and they just filter out all the influence.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to do the work in terms of connecting with them, etc.
Absolutely. I mean, but like I said, it saves a lot of time.
Right. Yeah, discovering influencers is very hard if you're directly searching on Instagram or something. So whatever channel that is, I think finding a tool for influencer discovery research is a great time saver. Lastly, I would like to speak a little bit about the analytics. Now, Swati, these are a lot of numbers. I know that we don't need to track a lot of numbers from influencer marketing, apart from, of course, our engagement, the ROI, the revenue generated, etc. But I feel since different people watching this will have different businesses and work with different kinds of goals. So the three categories that we see here is inputs, outputs, and outcomes. I feel inputs are also very important for influencer marketing, which is things that the team is doing, the marketing team is doing, the activities that the marketing team is doing, like how many influencers are you inviting into the program, right? Like that sort of a thing. And apologies for the low quality here, but I hope you can see it. Yeah. Then the outputs would be as a result of those activities, what happens, a number of influencers who accepted the program invitation.
Right.
Would be the output, and the outcome is the actual outcome for the brand, like the brand awareness that was generated because of this program that you ran with influencers. So that's how this is divided. And, happy if people want to take a screenshot here to decide which ones of these they want to track in their influencer marketing campaigns. But yeah,
Right.
I think, Swati, what do you want to add here to the analytics? Anything, any particular metrics that you find interesting?
I think, like you said, I think different brands would have completely different metrics if you say that way, because like I was talking to you that nano and micro influencers would be the best, but because I wasn't thinking in the funnel, right? I was thinking about maybe engagement and the revenue stage.
Right.
But you pointed out that mega influencers could be great for awareness. So maybe there's a brand whose goal is to
Yeah.
raise awareness for their brand. So of course they should totally go up for mega influencers. So yeah, it's like brand specific, of course.
Yeah, I would take an example of a brand that I've actually worked with. So this is a huge electronics company, and they were launching a shaving product for females. And a shaving product for men is basically like acquisition directly. You don't have to make them aware
Yeah.
a lot, but a shaving product for women might need some awareness because this brand would typically make shaving products for men. So they had to make a new audience aware about this product first. And this was specifically during the pandemic time because, women could not go to spas, etc. And they had to do some sort of shaving at home. So they ran a huge awareness campaign, which like a huge influencer campaign with celebrities just for awareness. And before they even launched the product. So like I
Yeah.
said, if you're in that stage, like I know that when you're working with brands, you're looking at, okay, I need to make money from this influencer. That's very different than saying, I need to let as many women know about this possible solution that they can use to shave at home. And that was the goal of that campaign. And hence the campaign was a best fit with mega influencers. If you had to spread awareness to millions of people with nano influencers, you'll go crazy because you'll have to basically get the entire
Totally,
Instagram
totally agree.
in terms of nano influencers to talk about your product to do that. So with nano and micro for revenue, yes, you're right, and you can get a lot of them to build up the revenue. With mega awareness, very good fit. So again, strategy, mapping the strategy to the size of influencer, mapping the size of influencer to the goal in the A3R3 funnel, and then following these 3 steps. I think that's sort of a decent overview
Yeah.
of influencer marketing. Of course, there's a lot to cover. And then using some tools that help you save time in terms of outreach, influencer, managing the process of shipping products, making payments, signing agreements. You personally use creator.co, but then I've also given other options that people could check
Yeah.
out. Awesome. Anything else, Swati, to add before we end this lesson?
Yeah, I mean, I knew this channel, but again, now that today we've talked about it from growth marketing perspective, I've learned so much when we apply the funnel to the channel. Yeah.
Awesome, Swati. That's so good to know. But I also learned a lot from you because I know you are the channel specialist here for influencer marketing. So awesome. Thank you, everyone who watched the lesson, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.